Hey, we are back. We are live. Welcome, guys, to another episode of F.A.M.E Weekly Talk, bringing to you guys food, arts, music, and the environment on this rainy Monday evening. It's so beautiful when we're finished with this show. Oh, I'm gonna get frisky with the covers. I can't wait. I'm looking forward to that. Definitely. Anyway, guys, this week's theme: free your mind. Over 50,000 thoughts a day. How many of those thoughts are good, positive, healing thoughts, though? I started monitoring my thoughts the other day, I know, it's a lot. Yeah. Chatter, chatter, chatter. But it's getting better. It really is. This is conversation that you have with your shrink, and then she prescribes you some sort of medication. But anyway, guys, that's a whole other story for a whole other day, all right? Welcome to F.A.M.E Weekly Talk. Miss Mactail, it is my name, all right? And you know how we do this every week right here on this, on this Instagram. Okay, F.A.M.E Festival _ Barbados. Okay, indeed, guys. So this week's theme, I said it like 5 times before. Free your mind. We just had a conversation with Sheba, talking to us all about her gourmet goat cheeses. Yes, we did Kafra gourmet. Yes. And now we're moving on to art. We're going to have a conversation with Brandon Best. Let us get into the head. Let us know, man. We want to know. We need to know, actually. We really do. And then we move on over to music. We're going to have a conversation with Zoe Hansen. She's coming from Canada. Yes, we're going to have a conversation with her. And of course, then we move on to the lovely Eleanor Bain, Quantum Hypnosis. Wow. Let's talk about that. Let's do that indeed. Of course, I want to say thank you guys so much for stopping by. Welcome. Oh, you know I have a cat, right? She be doing this as a random cat here. Every time I get a break, I have to do it. Yay! Brandon!
Hi.
What's up?
I'm pretty good. I'm actually enjoying the weather. I normally don't enjoy rain like this, but today was different. No, I'm a sun person. I actually like the heat, as odd as that sounds.
Okay, Diablo. But it's nice, though. It really is.
Yeah. The breeze for sure.
There you go. For me, every time I think about it, especially with everything that's happening, it's almost like just watch it all the way. And you go and you see the grass and the flowers outside, they're so happy, I love it. I absolutely do. Really. So, Brandon, I saw you today very random at the mall.
Yeah, that was just pure happenstance because prior to seeing you, I spent about almost 4 hours of my day in the bank. So, yeah, that was just pure luck that I saw you.
Wow, there you go.
Yeah, it was an errand that I was doing for somebody else. It had to be done, so I stood there.
Well, thank you for not passing me straight. Okay?
Yeah.
Yes, okay, Brandon, so let's talk about it. Your art, I see, that's one of your pieces there.
Yeah, this is one of my favorites. This one is called Bend We Don't Break.
Bend, you don't break?
Bend We Don't Break.
Oh, nice.
So it's basically the characters in the piece referring to themselves. Because the story behind it is that, each of the characters is actually from, or most of them, are from a piece that I've done in the past. Okay. And in this piece is basically an assemblage of them being together. And this piece is supposed to be, I guess you could say, a comment on my journey as an artist thus far. Yeah. So this is also one of my biggest canvas pieces. So this piece was purposely done to basically celebrate my journey thus far, bringing all of my characters together. And hence the title, Bend We Don't Break, because there have been times where I thought that I was going to give up the art, or I was questioning myself as to why I was doing it, but I kept pressing on anyway. So yeah, in my journey, the path wasn't clear cut and simple. There were some bends, but I didn't break, or we didn't break, I should say. So here we are now.
Look at that.
That's what that piece is all about.
Wow. How big is that piece?
It is 40 by 40 inches, and it's hanging over my bed.
Ideal place, a nice gentle reminder every time right before you get into bed. Nice.
Sorry, what'd you say?
I said a nice reminder right before you get into bed. The journey.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. Bending, not breaking. And that took you how long to get that done?
This took me a day, probably about 6-8 hours, probably.
Wow.
Only because it was one of the few pieces that I actually did plan. When I plan a piece, which is rare because most of my pieces tend to be spontaneous. This was something that planned, so I knew exactly what I wanted to do, and the methodology or the technique with my work tends to be I would establish the background and then I would do these black outline characters in the foreground. So truthfully speaking, the technique isn't so technical, it's more so like expressive and getting straight to the point with the idea. It's there's not a whole lot of depth. It's very well, there is some depth, but more or less it's quite two-dimensional. It's not three-dimensional.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Wow.
And that's just how I because ever since lockdown and we were all staying home for about 3 months, I was painting almost every single day. So when you get accustomed to doing a painting a day for
Yes.
5 days straight, 5 paintings a week, you get in the habit of painting fast. But I found that ever since I started exhibiting from late July, early August, that I found that my creative process has slowed down a little bit just because I'm trying to pay more attention to detail and the message that is being conveyed in the work. It wasn't like before where nobody was watching me. I was just an artist on my bed, painting on my bed, and all the work that I was doing was simply for me. I didn't have it in my mind at that point that I was going to be exhibiting. I didn't think that I was going to be exhibiting for like a year or two, but this is basically actually next week, Friday, it'll be 1 year that I've been painting. Officially 1 year.
What? This is insane.
Yeah. Yeah.
So okay, hold on. So is that because you were doing it for so many years behind closed doors?
Oh, no. I was drawing for many years, but I never ever painted because in my classes growing up, where I went to school at Cardington, the International School, I went to school with people, teens from Germany, England, France, blah, 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 blah. And some of them in my art class were like prodigy painters. And
Wow.
that intimidated me thinking that I never wanted to paint, so I just stick to drawing. It was only last November where my life was at a point in which I just wanted to find something that worked for me. And I was drawing, but then I got kind of bored of it. And then I went to oil pastels, which is more colorful as opposed to pencil and pen. And then I was like, okay, let me try painting for the sake of, I don't know, whatever it is I'm trying to pursue. And I found out very early, especially after doing some research on some of my favorite artists like Jean-Michel Basquiat and George Condo, is that they found art is visual language. So just like a language, everybody has their accent and their dialect. So I needed to find that in my work. And that was the mantra in the beginning. And I think that mantra really kicked in I think when I reached like month 5, month 6, when I actually chaotic and rigid, but that was, pardon me?
Okay, hold on. So
Yeah,
okay,
I think
continue. My bad.
I was saying, my earliest work was very chaotic and rigid, which directly reflected the general mood that I was in from back then. Because it was, long story short, it was basically a bad breakup, and I wanted to do something that could make me feel like I'm bouncing back. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do art again, and so here we are now.
So because of a bad breakup, not just because.
Yeah.
You see how powerful a relationship really is? Really and truly.
Yeah.
Even when it ends, you didn't even make lemonade. The man made, I don't know, a whole jar of lemon wine of some sort. If that even is a thing, is lemon wine a thing? I don't know. But yeah, definitely up from the lemonade. So the work that you're doing now, it reflects a different side of you.
What am I?
The work that you're doing now, because you said that your earlier work was, again, hello?
Sorry, it's just breaking out a little bit. You're asking what am I doing with my work?
I'm saying, so the earlier work that you did reflected, like you said, it was chaotic due to a bad breakup. So the work that you're doing now.
Oh, well, the work that I'm doing now is more, it's either commentary on things that I've been observing lately in my own life, whether it's my social life, my love life, my personal life. And it's like I described on my story just yesterday. My art is very much influenced by hip hop, and oftentimes in hip hop, the sounds are sampled from several different influences. So that's how I like to think of my artwork. So this one piece, for example, even though there was my general concept of the celebration of my art journey, there's still like my color scheme that is influenced by the song that I was listening to and such. It wasn't a very colorful song per se, but music does have a direct influence to my artwork. And I find that maybe not in that piece per se, but let's say I actually have this piece here. This piece is called Malcolm 6'7", and there's so many like symbols and eyes and weird curly eyelashes and even a saxophone in there. So basically that is my concept when I paint. I take samples from things from my past or my present or the music that I'm listening to. So whether it's jazz or hip hop, or if I'm doing a painting that is directly referencing my experience at school, or what it was like growing up in Barbados being a quote unquote red man. Little things like that. So there's a piece, yeah. There's even a piece that I have called Red Man Solace. It's in my closet. I think I can dig for it. Yeah, so this piece here, this is called Red Man Solace.
Red man in like literally a red and blue man then? What is it in
Yeah, so this piece was literally depicting how I felt in a particular week because the week that I painted that, I basically moved away from home for the first time ever. And there was just a lot going on in my family life at that point in time. So I wanted to paint something that explicitly depicted that. Hence why there's not only red, there's also blue. And that being like my mood, obviously. That was a crazy week. But that piece is actually a sequel to a different piece that I did called The Bluest Man Solace, which it's one of my fan favorites, where the piece is a painting that is basically a self-portrait of me back when I had hair and holding a teacup. And the reason why I did the teacup is because at the time, I actually quit smoking and drinking, and I started drinking a lot of tea instead. Things like that. So that gives an example of how I do my work, why I do my work, where the inspirations come from. Like they say, life is art and art is life. They're absolutely correct. So,
that is like therapy for you then?
Pardon me?
That is like therapy.
Oh yeah. Because in the beginning it was definitely therapy. Now I'm doing it because like this is what I love and this is what I enjoy, and I can do it. Like but when it comes to the arts, you should have the attitude that you don't need anybody's approval. But when you have somebody's approval, like you feel pretty good though. It's like, especially when you have like hundreds of fans and followers and whatever the case may be, like you don't need the verification, but it feels good when you have it. And I most definitely feel, or at least right now, I'm beginning to enjoy what that feels like for people to enjoy my work. It's not just up against my bed or in my closet collecting dust in my room. That people actually want to come to events and see them. It's been a very, I don't like to use the word crazy because us millennials overuse it, but it's been a crazy summer because I started painting last November, and then July 31st I did a group exhibition and exhibit for the very first time at Line Grove, and then for the following 2 weeks I did about 2 shows and then 2 more exhibitions, 2 solos. So like so much happened in such a small space of time, from the last day of July all the way to the 3rd week of August. And then here we are now with like interviews and such. And all that time there was, like I said, there was so much going on in my family life that like I was so busy about just getting the work out, because every time I do an exhibit, I prefer to do a whole new body of work. I don't like to repeat and recycle. So I even get time to really process what was actually going on in terms of my art life. I was more so worried about like, okay, where am I sleeping tonight? Or what am I feel? I was also working as a bartender. Like that was the majority of my professional life for like the past almost 4 years until I quit that and decided to do the art full time. And whew, I feel like I'm saying a lot.
This is great. I absolutely love it. We're getting your story here, your journey, and I am taking it all in. So please go right ahead. Feel free.
Yeah, but this is all going back to freeing the mind, whether it be through speech or painting or drawing.
Yeah, and before we get back to the art, before I forget, you mentioned this all about freeing your mind, and you free your mind through art. So that's how you do it.
Yeah. Even yeah. For the most part, yes, art, especially drawing. I feel like drawing is far more forgiving when you're doing therapeutic exercises. Because when you paint and you make a mistake, it's like, oh, like you get frustrated. I get frustrated because then you would have to like try and work around the mistake. But when it comes to drawing, yeah, way more rewarding. And that is how I would normally free my mind. And prior to that, for the first time in my life, I actually picked up and started writing a journal. So prior to the art, it was actually writing, like whether it was poetry well, not very much poetry, but journal entries and stuff, because like you can't keep, I don't care like how big your ego is, at some point in your life, you probably will pick up a journal, because I was that person that was like, what, journals, diaries? Like, nah, never, I don't need that. But like as you get older and you start developing different emotions apart from sad or drunk, that's not an emotion, but but you when you start developing new emotions and new feelings towards your experiences as a young, transitioning from a teen to a young adult, sometimes you don't have that person to talk about it with, so you have to express it in some way or another, whether it's painting or writing. For me, at first, it was definitely writing, and that for a while was helping, until I realized, oh crap, I could paint in my own way. So yeah, that answers your frame the mind question.
It does, and I'm here thinking, I have a journal too. I journal in point form. I really do. Sometimes I don't know how to refer it to myself. In the first tense, the third, the present, I don't know. So I'm just like, you know what, point form. So I journal in point form. Can't really hold long writing. That tends to free my mind sometimes. Kind of, sort of. Yeah. So, back to the art. So it's only been a year since you've been doing this. And like you said, you had solo exhibition. I've seen your work at the gallery in Lime Grove. I didn't know that you were the artist. Every time I'm passing on my way to and from the station, I just would stop, especially during this lockdown, there's no one else there, so I can have a conversation with the art. You know what I mean? And I'm standing there in the show, and then I'm looking at all these different pieces. And I'm like, who is this? First I thought was a woman, right? To be honest, nothing to do with it. I just wanted to believe it was a woman doing this, And I'm like, wow, seriously, really, yeah. And then Margaret mentioned to me seeing the pieces. I'm like, yes, I saw it. The girl is like, it's Brandon, it's the guy. I'm like, oh, okay, fine. It's the guy. Yay. We're good. He's not really arduous anyway. Your first show, how did you get contacted?
I wasn't contacted. What happened was, initially, was in February, when for whatever reason I thought I had the confidence to exhibit with the work that I had at the time. I went out of my way to call as many venues as I possibly could to see where I could exhibit. And then I called the management at Norman Center, and they gave me the number of Onika Small from Artists Alliance Barbados. And as soon as I got in contact with her, she told me about her exhibition in Canewood, which was the following week. So I got off my butt, went to Canewood the following week, met her in person. So just had a conversation with her about my work. And, one of her leading questions was like, oh, do you go to BCC? And I was like, no, I don't. I am self-taught. But we had a great conversation for about 2 hours. And we were then in the works of me exhibiting in April. But then obviously what happened is that there was the pandemic lockdown. So I was no longer exhibiting. But that turned out to be a blessing in disguise, because during that time was when I had a lot of development in terms of the artwork and myself. And like we said earlier, life is art and art is life. So as my life changes, so will the artwork. And so said, so done. And by around June, that was when Onika was like, hey, so you're still about exhibiting? And I was like, hell yeah. And like, one of the best parts about lockdown was I was still managing to sell work during lockdown, which to me still blows my mind, because I did that over Instagram, and June was like one of the best months of the year in terms of sales. So that was how I eventually got to exhibiting on the 31st of July with Artists Alliance Barbados through Onika, because even though she wanted me to do the solo show the week before, but for whatever reason in my heart, I kept pushing it away. I kept pushing it because if I wanted to do it, a solo show, I wanted it to be done right, and I wanted to have certain work prepared for it. So that was how I came about to having my I don't want to call it my exhibiting streak. So I had the group one first, and then a week and a half later the solo exhibit of my work, and then within the first week. Sorry.
So the first exhibit was where? Where was the first exhibit held?
Sorry, the first exhibit called The Print was at Grove Gallery, where you would have seen my work.
Yeah.
And then a week and a half later was my first solo show in Norman Center. And then after 9 days of that was when I was then contacted by Rodney Powers from Caribbean Market Center, and they had offered their venue for me to do another solo show. And I didn't say no. I was like, that was the first time that somebody had ever contacted me and approached me about showing my work. So I took the opportunity, and I had a week to do 9 pieces because, like I said earlier, every time I do an exhibit, I want to show brand new work. So I pressured myself. They said they wanted at least 15. So I was like, okay, I could use this that I haven't shown yet, but I'm going to need about 9 or 8 more pieces. So in 1 week, things I ever did in 1 week, which was a whopping 9. And I will never do that ever because I was just under constant pressure. I still had to go to work from 4 o'clock. Yeah, so I would paint. I would wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning, start sketching something, catch the bus from about 8:30 to go into town, go in my studio in Norman Center. That's the best part about my Norman experience. It wasn't only an exhibition, it was also open studio for me to do my work. So left home for 8:30, got in my studio for 9 at least. I would start painting. I would do 2 paintings in an afternoon if I could, or at least have 1 done and 1 started. And then as soon as 3 o'clock comes around, pack up, go to Jake's Bar opposite Coconut Court, get to work, finish work at about 12, go home, finish the painting that I was almost done in the afternoon, and then rinse and repeat. That's what I did for that week, and I would never do that. That was ridiculous. There's no need to have that pressure.
Come on, Brandon.
What?
It paid off, didn't it?
Oh yeah, it did pay off. Oh yeah.
And if you have to do it again, you're gonna do it again. Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah? I hope so. Hello? You see things.
Yeah, sorry? I didn't hear you.
Oh, no, it's fine. I said if you have to do it again, you are gonna do it again, man. Come on. This is the life of an artist, Brandon.
Yes, but I will be cautious about it because, like, it is art, yes, but there's still a process that you have to go through. I can't just paint something for painting's sake. I have to actually feel it.
Okay.
Because if I don't feel it, I have no connection to it, then I can't speak on it. That's the most difficult thing. I don't like doing work that's just being pretty for pretty's sake. It has to be something that conveys something, whether it's a personal message or a commentary, whatever.
So when you had to do those 9 paintings, the message you came across in the paintings is that you knew that you had to do them, so you kind of mentally prepared yourself?
Yeah, like for example, this same one here. Like I said, this was the week that this was done was when I was like moved away from home and family issues and blah 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 blah. So at least at the time, it just so happened that I had enough emotional material to produce work. So and it's funny because now since everything is humpty dory and rainbows and sunshine, it's not, now my art is coming from a different place. The conditions have changed. Like a few months ago I was basically miserable. But and just constantly like not wanting to disappoint, I suppose. I mean, I could say I was trying not to disappoint myself, but like, let's be realistic. Like, there's always somebody else that you're trying to impress, right? So I always had that constant drive. Now I'm more relaxed. Now I'm a student at UE. Now I'm dating somebody, and now I actually have a great relationship with my brother and my dad. So everything has changed so drastically. Now it's completely affected the way that I paint. I mean, I did this here. Oh, this here is called Dreaded Rasta.
Yes, I saw that.
Oh. And what else did I do? Oh, the other one I left in my brother's room.
And what's the story behind Dreaded Rasta?
Oh, the story behind that one is more political because there was a song that I was listening to that particularly I took inspiration from. I can't remember, but basically the message of Dreaded Rasta is because there is or was or there still is quite a bit of stigma when it comes to locks.
Yeah.
And for a long time they were referred to as dreadlocks. And why dreadlocks? And dread actually means like to be scared or to be frightened of. But the truth being told is that there's nothing to fear of dreadlocks, and that is a physical expression of Rastafarian culture, and one way or another also Black culture and what it means to be Black, and that reflects in your hair. I can't remember the song that I was listening to or the movie that I watched, but basically Dreaded Rasta is about how the white man or racists perceive proud Black men, basically. That's basically what that piece is about. It's basically how your pride for yourself is being perceived by the enemy. That's what the piece is about.
Okay. Yes, and of course, Akila Watts as well. You've seen her work before, have you? She does a lot of great.
Which artist?
Akila Watts.
I feel like I know that name, and I probably have seen the work.
Amazing work. She does a lot of graded work. She talks about this message behind it. We have an interview to upload with her. You know what? How it was used back in the day as messages and maps and so forth. It comes to the grades. Yeah. So I got you. Well, thank you for painting that and speaking up. Much appreciated, for sure. So it's only been a year for you doing this, and again, it seems that you've achieved so much in stuff. I don't want to say in a short space of time because you've been in this experience for 20-something years. So if you know what I mean. All the experiences that you've had, you're able to put it on canvas and get it out. What advice do you have for anyone that's looking to get into art? Painting.
Number one piece of advice: unapologetically express the ideas that you have. Don't filter them just because they may not be mainstream, or I think what's still in transition here in Barbados is what is considered art or what's considered beautiful. But you don't have to do a painting that is beautiful, and it doesn't have to be impressionist either. Like, for example, Dread Rasta ultimately is not a very pretty picture.
Yes,
Not
relative.
all. Pardon me?
It's relative.
Yeah, it's relative. It is relative. Beauty is relative to who is watching it. But yeah, don't be afraid to be original or to step out your own comfort zone, and perseverance. Because for about 7 months, 7 months, 7 months was a frequent battle of why am I doing this and what's the purpose? Where is this leading to? But for my personal drive, I was doing it because I love it, and no matter what, this is something that I've still acquired for myself. But I want every artist out there to do what it is that they want to do. Do not filter yourself. Do not, just because I don't want to give any explicit examples, but just because just because what's popular out there is working for that artist, that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to follow in that path. You have all the right to do whatever it is that you want to do. If you want to do work that that is political and is speaking for the LGBTQ community in Barbados, if you want to do work that is speaking about the ridiculous import budget, if you want to do work that is commenting on the school system or 11 plus, do it, and do it in whatever way that you want, because especially when it comes to abstract work, anything is possible.
Anything is possible. Listen, before you go though, I want to know what's the connection with Barbados Connect.
Oh, right. So I love Barbados Connect, and this is why. Okay, so first of all, they're a group or an organization, I should say, and what they do is that they host events at particular locations, and what they actually do is they gather artists from, I shouldn't say artists, they gather talent from one side of the island to the next, whether you are a singer, a dancer, a visual artist, or a designer. There's a pretty good chance that they will come across your work, or you can even approach them, and they will then gather a small team of about 4 or 5 individuals in their respective area, and then have them showcase their work at the event that they do. So, for example, they launched First Wednesdays back in, was it August or was it September? I feel like it was no, I think it might have been September. Anyway, the point is, the first time they did First Wednesdays, they came across me, and that was my awesome experience with them. So I was their very first featured artist for their First Wednesdays event at the Platinum Coast Cigar Bar, and that was easily one of the.
This was like 2 Wednesdays ago, because I went to an event that they did. That was the first time they did it.
That was the first time they did it in September, I think it was. I can't remember. August and September are very much meshed for me.
I think it was September.
I think it may have been September. And then the next one is actually next week, Wednesday. And it's
Already?
still at Grove. Yeah.
So I
went goes by like that.
I know. I went to one a couple Wednesdays ago, and I went to them, a very social person. But Kirk was like, "Hey, Mister, what are you doing later?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not going." He's like, "You don't even know what I asked." I'm like, "Okay, fine." He said, "The Barbados Connect is having this event at Lime Grove, so it's close by, so and I went, and I would tell you this: it's going to that event has restored my faith in the female species to some extent, because I met some really,
there are a lot of women that attend, a lot
of women,
like
but
models, artists, singers.
They were always so encouraging with each other. You know, if I tell someone, "Oh my God, I like your outfit, it's really nice," don't look at me like I'm a weirdo. Like, "Oh my God, why are you telling me I'm not nice?" You know what I mean? But all these women were just so strong in their own way, and everybody's so positive and love and light, and it was a really great
because
event.
ultimately it's supposed to be a mixer event, an opportunity for people from all walks of life in Barbados. And no matter your creative background, you all come together and you get to actually like hang out and speak with one another in a safe environment. And then there's potential collaborations going on. And that is what we need to be doing. We need to develop the creative industry, and that's basically what the agenda of Barbados Connect is.
Yeah, they do an excellent job. I mean, I've met so many young entrepreneurs there as well. So many of them. I have to make my way to Valerie's Hand. I'm getting there, girl. I am still getting there. You know, but yeah. So look up for that event next week Wednesday. Again, it's happening at Lime Grove, right?
Yeah, from 6 p.m. I believe.
So you're gonna be there. You can see it.
I'm definitely gonna be there because it's been a while. I don't want to go back.
Hey, so where else can we find your pieces? Where else can we see your work?
At the moment, I actually pulled my work from the last gallery I was in. It was at Grove Gallery. So at the moment, all of my work that hasn't been sold yet is still with me at home. However, come December, I'm going to be exhibiting at a particular cafe that's been blowing up, but I'm gonna keep it as a secret for now.
I know where that cafe is. Okay.
You know where you think
I know where that cafe is.
Okay, yeah, but I look forward to that. I love the place. I really do.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say anything for now. I want it to be a surprise.
Okay. Yeah. So we'll see you at that cafe for sure. And then when you come off the call, you can just put your information where you can find you on Instagram, you know, your socials, and of course support local. And I must say, continue doing the good work, man. Seriously, I didn't want us to like procrastinate or anything like that because I don't like, you know, I let you describe your art, you know, and how you feel and the message that you're conveying through it. And we really do appreciate this for sure, Brandon. We're looking up to you next week Wednesday, okay?
Yes, for sure.
Okay. Wait, before you go, so this painting, that nice big rock boxy at Line Grove, it's gone.
Oh yeah, I did find that, but that is a ridiculous story for another time. But okay. I did find it. Oh,
there it is.
For like 2 weeks.
Yes.
2 weeks.
Look at it. There she is on the sofa.
The irony being is that I loved it when I did it, but like a month later, it didn't grow very well with me because. Pardon me?
It's not something you should say, okay? Because then if I want to buy a piece and be like, if he doesn't like it in a month, why would I even like it in a month? Okay?
Well, well, I mean, for this particular piece, because like why I did it was because I wanted to provoke, but I did provoke. People were actually like super entertained, and I was like, oh, this is awkward. I actually did this painting to get a negative reaction. Because I wanted to, because the title, Rat Boxy, that's not a very good word at all. But it is kind of funny for some people, but it was an experiment. It was a social experiment, basically.
It was, and it's no more. So you need to up the thing now, Brandon. I don't know.
Yeah, I do need to up the thing, I guess.
If you want something.
But what you can expect from me from future is, so this is 40 by 40 inches. I'm actually planning to do pieces that are like, they're going to be like, let's say 55 by 68. Like I'm planning to get bigger and bigger over time. And I want to start doing murals.
There we go. So we can look forward to that for sure. Brandon Best, thank you so much for stopping by and sharing your story with us.
Thank you.
He had lemon and he made, you know, I don't even know what you make from it. No more brownies for me, but thank you. Thank you so very much for sharing your story.
Thank you.
We're going to
look night.
Margaret, he says hi. Show me your hand. There it is. All right. There she is. Have a good evening and all the best. And we look out for you at Barbados Connect, all right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yay. Right, there you guys have it. Brandon Best, he's chatting. Well, he was chatting, having a conversation. Yeah, that's 7 months in a year, right? In 1 year. For those of you who have been battling with this for years, don't give up, okay? Do not give up. Do not give up. You're getting closer and closer and closer, man. Look at that. 9 paintings in a day? In a week, right? In a week. 2 in a day. That's a lot. But anyway, guys, so we're going to be back. We're going to save this video, all right? And then we're going to move on over to music. We have Zoe Hansen who's going to be chatting with us, all right? So there you guys have it. Say what you thought. We're going to save this, and then we're going to go and come back. Ooh, yay.